First, Ahmad Hicks, thanks for joining us. What's a franchise tag, Ahmad?
It basically means that they'll be able to retain that player without extending them to a long-term contract on a one-year deal. And pretty much it'll pay that specific player whatever the best salary is for that position. So in Sam Darnold's case, I think the average salary for the top paid quarterbacks, the top highest 10 paid quarterbacks will be around the $41 million a year mark for him. So that's what he'll get. If you look at the wide receiver, T. Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals, he just got franchise tagged for, I believe, $24 million a year. That's the going rate for a top wide receiver in the NFL right now. So that's kind of how the franchise tag works.
Okay, and so you look at that number and you go, well, we can't swing that, so he's got to be out of here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if the Vikings were interested in signing or, paying Sam Darnold $41 million a year, they would have just kept Kirk Cousins 2 years ago, and we wouldn't even be talking about a quarterback problem right now in Minnesota. I don't think they can do that because they have a lot of other needs and a lot of holes that they have to fill. And if they were to pay Sam Darnold $41 million, well, they won't be able to pay anybody up front to block for him. And I think that was the biggest problem in the playoffs this past year. So it's a lot riding on this decision at 3 o'clock, but Adam Schefter came out, reported it last night, and from everything that I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like the Vikings will be franchise tagging Sam Darnold.
Okay, because people are out there tweeting and they're giving this. I think this is going to happen. I think was it Ian Rappaport? Did you see this where he said the Vikings are not done with Sam Darnold yet? Right?
Yeah, I mean, he said that the Vikings have pretty much been open about that. Head coach Kevin O'Connell has kind of alluded to the same thing. The dialogue has continued with Sam Darnold. They will be open to having him back. But I think we all know, like, if he's coming back, it's going to be at a discounted rate. If not, he's going to have to go somewhere and cash in. I don't think he's going to get $50 million a year, something that he's probably seeking. That's the going rate for quarterbacks in the NFL. But I'm sure he's going to get paid handsomely. He deserves it. He's been good pretty much outside of his first couple of years with the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers. So I just don't think he deserves $41 million a year from the Minnesota Vikings when they have a whole secondary to address, offensive, defensive lines, and the running back position.
Is there also kind of like a gentleman's deal, kind of where, it's just kind of, just out of respect for somebody, do you just kind of go, we're not going to tie you up in this? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I think it's respectful because you have seen teams do it where they're like, you know what, we don't care. We're not going to pay you what you want. We don't want you going elsewhere. So we're slapping the tag on you. Then you get in that little messy situation where the player doesn't come to training camp unless they have an extension and things like that. So it can make two sides, a little frustrated with one another. Whereas now they're giving Sam Darnold the respect that he deserves. And they're saying, you know what, go out there and go test the market. If you think you're worth X amount of dollars, go find out. We're going to continue to talk with you, but I think the Vikings have been pretty clear, like, here's our number, or we're right around this mark, and we're not going to go above that because, we have other needs to fill. So I think, for Sam Darnold, this is the ultimate respect thing, though, because it now gives him a chance to go play and find a long-term deal somewhere, because that's what NFL players care about, the longevity and making sure they're paid, not just for one season, but years down the road.
What's the scuttlebutt on McCarthy? I mean, are people? I know we're off season, and you're not, maybe around the same people as you are during the season. But as far as being ready and starting, I think are you hearing anything? Any indications?
Just from the people that I talk to, I mean, he's hungry. He's at the facility all the time. He's eager to work out. I just chatted with him just a couple of weeks ago just about what he's doing outside of football, looking to make his mark here in Minnesota by doing some philanthropy work. There you go. I had to get it out. And doing some work around the Twin Cities, giving back to the homeless and whatnot. So he's a first-class guy. Like we all knew when the Vikings first drafted him. We knew he was going to come in and give this organization his all. He's been doing that. A lot of word going around talking about how he lost a little bit of weight. He's now trying to gain that back. Of course, that's what happens when you have knee surgery. You can't do all the squats and deadlifts and all the Olympic weights that football players do and whatnot. So I think he's going to be just fine. I think that the sky is the limit for him. And I think given a full year to kind of learn how an NFL quarterback is supposed to go about his day-to-day routine and things like that, and giving him a full year to learn the system and understand, where Kevin O'Connell wants the ball to be, how to throw the ball and all that good stuff, I think he's going to be just fine. I think right now he's probably building up that mental toughness because everyone keeps talking about Sam Darnold. Everyone keeps talking about Daniel Jones, this and that. No one's talking about how good this team can be with J.J. McCarthy, and I think that just motivates him.
Yeah. Good stuff. Ryan, do we need to go to break or we want to keep going? You want to keep going with Ahmad? Awesome. Okay, good. I was hoping we'd say that. Ahmad, you got time?
I have time. We're good right now.
Okay, perfect.
We can all join now.
Ryan's jumping in. This is perfect. Ryan?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I don't have anything. I just wanted to join the party. So.
Well, I wanted you to join in on this segment, and you're like, no, you and Ahmad can just handle it. But yeah, it's so interesting, this whole deal, because there's just so much we don't know yet, obviously. And I was going to ask you, Ahmad, too, about the Daniel Jones piece and how he fits into this or doesn't fit into this as well. So.
There's a lot of teams, from what I've been reading, obviously I'm not connected with all 31 other teams in the NFL, but I'm pretty sure there are some teams, interested in Daniel Jones' talent. This is a guy who I don't think had a good surrounding cast around him in New York. Like, of course, they got Malik Neighbors for him this past year. He had Saquon Barkley, but they didn't have a good offensive line. They didn't have a good offensive coordinator, and it was a revolving door with their head coaches. So I feel like Daniel Jones in the right system could be a pretty good fit for an NFL team. I don't know if that's going to be here in Minnesota, because I think if you sign Daniel Jones, then that's a telltale sign of J.J. McCarthy that we don't trust you. Or it's just saying that, hey, Daniel Jones, we don't think you're good enough, but you're putting a lot of pressure on the number one quarterback in J.J. McCarthy if he plays bad, which some rookies do in their first season. So I think that puts a lot of pressure on J.J. McCarthy if you sign a guy like Daniel Jones. So I think it's probably best to just let him walk and, give the keys to the ship to J.J. McCarthy. Let him run away and drive this thing.
Yeah. It's so great to be able to talk football more now that the combine started and we're starting to, to get into it a little bit more. If people want to, and maybe people don't know that you do this thing, the First and North podcast. I love it because this is our division. We love to hear everything about how different teams are feeling. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because you're going to be doing that pretty quick here, right?
We actually have that coming up here at 2:30. So it's something that we do every Tuesday, 2:30. I think it airs on Fox Local right away as soon as early as like 9 o'clock that night. I know Chicago airs it on television there. They found a couple of slots for us, but we basically just talk football between all NFC North teams. We have the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions. So we have Dan Miller, the voice of the Lions for the Detroit Lions. You have Tim Van Voren, the sports director in Milwaukee at Fox 6, I believe. And then you also have Lou Canellis at Fox 32 in Chicago, who's the sports director and just a crazy Bears fan. So I'm sure they're going to get on there. They're going to be raving about this trade that the Bears just made, bringing in the center from the Los Angeles Rams. So Ben Johnson is, just shoring up that offensive line just like the Detroit Lions had it. And I think he knows the blueprint for success. So we're going to go on there and talk about Sam Darnold some more, how he's not being franchise tagged, and the future of the Lions and all these other teams throughout the NFC North. So it's fun stuff. We really continue the show all year long despite the NFL season coming to a close. So it's fun stuff, and there's always a little trash talking going on. So just join us every Tuesday on First and North.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, First and North, look for it because it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you for spending some time with us. I know you got to scoot, you got to get going. Anything else you got cooking today?
No, that's just it. That's what we're working on, obviously talking about Sam Darnold. But the Gopher women's basketball team will be playing in the Big Ten tournament versus Washington tomorrow. So that's something we're excited about. And the men's Gophers basketball team wraps up their regular season at home at Williams Arena tomorrow versus Wisconsin. So closing up that Gopher college basketball beat right now. Okay. Well, we don't have time for another question, but when you come back on next time, I want to talk about Gopher men and Ben Johnson and kind of where you think things are at now. Don't have time for that now. Sorry, everybody. Just call me. I'm always available. Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll get you. Have fun at First and North. We'll catch you another time. Thanks, Ahmad. Appreciate it.